Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on my second week of remaking these videos, and let's just jump in right away. First off, I'd like to say that the guys and I have yet to come up with a new name for our business, so look out for that. That's coming to you guys very soon, and I will come up with some smart ass name for these videos eventually. And let's get started. This previous week, I read Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff by Richard Carlson. And this book was absolutely amazing. I've learned through tons of the readings that I've done recently that it's really, really easy for us as human beings to really get caught up in ourselves, in our egos, in our own worlds. And what was awesome about this book was that there were 100 chapters, and every chapter was anywhere in the range of 1 to about 3 pages long. And first off, that allowed me to really stay focused with being able to read the chapters. There was just something about how strong the content was, but how quickly he could transition from this idea to this idea while not fully disconnecting the book from sweating the small stuff. And this book definitely came to me at the right time in my professional, in my personal, in my life in general. I really learned a couple things that I'd like to get to you, and hopefully you can use these in your future you can take them and mold them into whatever you want, and hopefully you can have fun with these concepts. They're definitely very difficult to attempt to implement right away, and that's because it's very difficult to get rid of a whole life's worth of habits. We really tend to do a lot of the don'ts that this book talks about, and I'm going to bring a couple to light, and then I'm going to really touch upon what it is that I'd like for you, the viewer, to get out of not just this video, but what you should be getting out of this for the up and coming year. One of the really, really important points that was touched upon in this book was to not attempt to finish someone else's thoughts, to really allow someone to finish what they're thinking, even if you think you know what they're going to say. The author suggests that it's actually quite stressful to try to have your own thoughts and also attempt to finish someone else's. And when we do this, we are essentially telling the other person, oh, hurry up, I already know what you're going to say. I don't need to be listening to you. Which, if you really listen to that, it's honestly just all ego-driven. And what I've noticed with a lot of the other concepts in this book as well is that a lot of them, if not all of them, we have absolute control over. There's the idea that we attempt to not necessarily control others, but we are so interested in getting our points of view out that we don't focus on listening to someone else. And what I've learned now on my second business endeavor, since the first one with CK and AP had some roadblocks that made us go back to square one, is that we need to attempt to remove ourselves from every situation and instead allow others to express themselves, because for all we know, they have a really cool thought that's on the way, a really cool thought that we're interrupting, that we're not letting them get out there. And in that, related to that, I will say that I have definitely suffered some from being anxious, from being nervous, from not knowing what direction to take my life in. And this book really, really, really helped calm me down, because besides interrupting others and worrying about other people's actions, what I really learned is that I am extremely guilty of attempting to make the world into my ideal world. And that's just not what the world is. The world has 7.6 billion other people that contribute to the way in which the world operates. And because of that, I cannot try to fix others, judge others, condemn others. I need to sit back and allow others to speak and allow them to explore their own depths of themselves. And in doing so, it's honestly kind of wild to see how receptive they then are to my beliefs and my thoughts and my ideas when I'm not cutting them off, when I'm not attempting to guess what they're saying. And the way in which those thoughts were contributing to my anxiety and to my nerves were because when people weren't receptive to me or to my ideas or to what I was trying to put out, I would then try even harder to get them to see things my way, to view things from my perspective. And what I learned was that gratitude and appreciation really will help eliminate that feeling of me always needing to show that I'm right, or me always needing to get my opinion out there. Because the reality is that most of us aren't ever receptive to someone telling us that we're wrong, to someone calling out our flaws. Because it's always super easy for me to sit here and say, oh, this person X, Y, and Z, and here I am, not thinking about them, not thinking about their situation. And how does this lead to success? How does this lead to you having a fruitful life and a great business eventually? Is we need to be listening to our customers, to our audience, to those whom we are attempting to help. And if we are not willing to adjust our structure and our thoughts and our ideas, and let me put this in parentheses really quick, I'm not saying that we're fully going to change the scope of our work or what we're trying to do because of one person's criticism or because of one person's dislike in terms of what we're doing, in parentheses. But I am saying that we need to be accepting of what other people are saying to us. And the reality is, like I said a few minutes earlier, it's always simple to take someone else's idea, to take someone else's little project or business or craft and to criticize, and for you to really try and say, oh, that sucks, it could be so much better. But when we sit down and we attempt to put things out on our own, and we try to have something that's of value towards others, we realize the difficulty and how much work actually goes into being great at something. Transitioning away from that, I would like to wish everyone first off, a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. I am not discriminating or anything along those lines. I just don't know the timeline of those other holiday traditions. So I hope that that's all happy and well, and that you've been grateful and excited to be with your family and with your friends. And with this upcoming year, I'd like to say to get off your fucking ass and get to it. It's about that time for us to take advantage of this fresh beginning that we're about to be given. And I would honestly suggest to not make a New Year's resolution. It puts a lot of pressure on you, and it makes the goal seem extremely, extremely large. And it happens with people going to the gym. It happens with people starting diets. It happens with whatever else, with spreading love, with spreading peace and prosperity. It starts off as it's all well and gravy, and then by the time February comes around, everybody's back to their old habits. And my suggestion to fix that is to come up with a new day's resolution, and preferably to come up with a system that helps you build. One day will have the blueprint for the next day, that will then have the blueprint for the next day. But just make them day challenges. Make them small things. Say thank you to someone. Go to the store and buy 5 Gatorades and give it to the construction guys who you see outside. Just little tasks every day that will eventually build momentum, and that'll help you not sweat the small stuff. First off, it'll help remove your ego and your desire for this ideal world that often causes the unhappiness that I feel in my life. And if I feel that way, I can't speak for you, but I will say that perhaps it's a more common thing than I think it is. And that's because time is a perception, and when we try to set a goal that's so large, we end up giving up through the process because our minds are only capable of dealing with now. Because I don't have the beginning of this sentence, and the end of the sentence hasn't occurred yet until now, right? So all I have is now. And since that's the case, I encourage you to attempt to live in the now more. And I will say, for a New Year's resolution, to attempt to live what you love, attempt to put out that passion into the world, and attempt to not get caught up in things like bills or having a bad credit score or having to go to college. You don't have to do anything besides die. And I don't say pay taxes, because there's even slick ways around doing that. And if you do follow your love and your passion, you will see that you will fulfill yourself in a mental way, an emotional way, a spiritual way, a physical way, and you will have the final byproduct, which is you will be compensated financially because you put your love out towards helping others. With that, I will say, be well, live dangerously, and check me out next week. See you guys.